Hey everyone, welcome back to the Be Yourself Unapologetically podcast. And this is my first visual episode. Normally I only do audio. So I'm going to talk about one of my favourite subjects, and that's growing food. So like growing fruit, veg and flowers and herbs, so you have a sustainable UK mini based plot. So gardening has a lot of benefits. It helps with depression. Soil actually helps with depression, and it gives you satisfaction of growing something and then eating it, because it's something you made, so you know that it's not got any nasty bits on it. Do you know what I mean? Pesticides and all that stuff, because obviously, that's the idea of organic. So we're going to be building something quietly rebellious today, not a bunker or a manifesto, but a plot. So a tiny green stubborn little corner of life where you grow fruit, vegetables, flowers and herbs, and slowly realise that you're not just gardening, you're practising an actual future skill. Because the future is not just electric cars and clever apps and robots. It's also about sustainability, basil on the leaves. You can cut with your own scissors and marigolds that act like tiny bouncers for your tomatoes. And yes, we're talking about creating your own free-ish apothecary too. The kind that smells like mint, calendula, lavender, and I made this myself. So whether you've got a small garden, a balcony, a patio, or one heroic pot perched on a step, this episode is your invitation to grow something useful. So, first of all, there's the mindset shift. Your garden's a supply chain you can see. When you grow food at home, something changes in your brain. Food stops being a product and becomes a process. You start noticing like seasons and weather, how much light, what's water, what's pollinators. You start making decisions like, do I plant rocket now or do I wait 2 weeks? And suddenly you're not just consuming a system, you're actually participating in it. And it does matter, because the UK, like everywhere, is feeling the squeeze, the cost of living, supply chain wobble, unpredictable weather, and the general sense that everything is one news alert away from chaos. Growing a bit of your own, well, herbs you like, is a practical hedge against all that. Not in a doomsday way, more in a my herbs won't double in price overnight way. It's not all or nothing. You don't need to become a full-time allotment goblin. You can start with 3 pots and an attitude. So if you've got a small space set up, this is something that can actually work. I'll make it simple. So in a small UK garden or balcony, you're juggling 5 things: the light, the wind, the water, the soil, the space. Light, if you get 6+ hours of sun in summer, you can all grow almost anything in containers. Tomatoes, peppers, strawberries, even dwarf fruit trees. If you get 3 to 5 hours, focus on leafy stuff: salad leaves, spinach, chards, herbs, spring onions. If it's a shady spot, grow mint, parsley, chives, sorrel and leafy greens that tolerate lower light. You're not failing, you're adapting. Wind. Now, wind is the villain of the balcony, because balconies can be surprisingly brutal, like living on the edge of a giant hairdryer. So use windbreaks like trellis, netting, bamboo screening, even strategically placed taller plants. Your basil will thank you by not turning into a crispy confetti in the heat. Water. Yes, containers do dry out fast in summer, Some pots need watering daily. The cheat code is mulch, even in a pot. A layer of compost, leaf, mould, straw or bark chips keeps the moisture in and reduces stress. Also use saucers underneath your pots where appropriate, but don't let roots sit in the water all the time, especially the Mediterranean herbs like rosemary and thyme. They like it a little drier and dramatic. So the soil. So if you take anything from this episode, let it be this. When we say I can't grow anything, what we actually mean is my compost is rubbish. That's what it is. That's all it is. So for containers, use peat-free compost, UK-friendly choice, plus a bit of extra drainage for herbs, perlite, grit, horticultural sand. And if you can mix in homemade compost or well-rotted manure for hungry crops. So then there's the space. Go vertical, always. Balcony growers, you're basically doing edible interior design. Hanging baskets, wall planters, rail planters, shelves, trellis and grow bags. You're not short on space, you're short on services. So what to grow in the UK tiny plot? High reward, low heartbreak. So let's build your starter menu. We'll do it by categories. So A, fast crops for motivation. So these are the plants that make you feel like a gardening wizard quickly. Salad leaves, cut and come again. Radishes, ridiculously quick. Spring onions, rocket. Microgreens on a windowsill. Fast crops are important because motivation is a fragile little creature, so make sure you feed it often. The big impact, balcony crops. So these save money and feel luxurious. Tomatoes, especially cherry tomatoes in pots. Courgettes, yes, in a big container if you dare. Strawberries, hanging baskets are perfect. Chilies, they're great indoors near a bright window too. Potatoes in bags like treasure sacks, honestly. Perennial, herbs at the set it and forget it squad. So there's rosemary, thyme, sage, chives, mint in its own pot, unless you want to own your entire postcode. These herbs are the future, your best friends. They come back every year and make you look organised. So flowers that will earn their keep, not just growing pretty, things you're running a tiny ecosystem. Calendula, skin friendly, cheerful. Pollinator magnet, marigolds, great companion plants. Nasturtiums, edible and aphids love them more than your veg, which is what you need. Lavender, pollinators adore it. So, as we know, flowers increase pollination, improve biodiversity and make your growing space feel like a place you actually want to be. So, the free apothecary idea, without getting weird about it, let's define it properly. So, a home apothecary isn't you playing doctor, it's you keeping a small collection of herbs and plant-based preparations for everyday comfort. Soothing balms, bath herbs and kitchen medicine like garlic and thyme. Important if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, on medication, managing health conditions or making remedies for children. Just please check with a qualified professional. Natural can still be powerful. So, right, with that said, here are simple, safe, beginner-friendly apothecary plants you can grow in the UK. Mint, obviously, like I said, it takes over your whole postcode if you don't keep it in a pot. So for tea, for comfort, for after meals. and it smells like I've got my life together even when you don't. Then there's 2. Lemon balm, gentle, calming vibe, easy to grow, container friendly. Thyme, great in cooking, traditionally used in herbal infusions for seasonal comfort. And then calendula. Petals can be infused in oil for skin soothing preparations. Also, it's basically sunshine in plant form. And then you've got lavender, the sleepy time scent. Great as sachets, bath herbs, or simple infusions. Rosemary. Hair rinse culture loves it. Also makes roast potatoes taste like a restaurant. Now let's talk about how to turn your harvest into something that lasts. So the harvesting, the drying and the storing like a calm woodland librarian. The secret to the free apothecary is preservation. Drying out herbs, harvest in the morning after dew dries, before the day gets too hot. Tie small bunches and hang them somewhere warm, dry and out of direct sun, or use a dehydrator on a low setting if you fancy and you've got one. Once fully dry, store in airtight jars away from heat and light. Label them with the plant name, the date, and optional I grew this labels because it's satisfying. Simple herbal tea. So you blend mint and lemon, lavender and mint, rosemary and thyme, and infused oil. Super beginner version. Fill a clean dry jar with dried calendula petals. Cover with olive oil or sweet almond oil. Store in a cool, dark place for a few weeks. Keep shaking it. Strain, label, feel powerful. The oil can be used as a base for a balm using beeswax, but we're keeping it simple today. So, why growing your own is the future and not just a cue. Let's get into the why properly. A, resilience. So, home growing reduces your dependence on long supply chains. Even the UK government guidance acknowledges allotments as a council provided route to local food growing. So when can you grow something you're less exposed to price, the spikes, the shortages, and waste reduction? You pick what you need, you compost the scraps, you close the loop, and biodiversity and pollinators. So a balcony with herbs and flowers is basically a service station for bees. And pesticide use does just affect pests. Research reviews just discuss broader risks from pesticide exposure and even issues like pesticide drift affecting biodiversity near treated areas. Growing in a nature-friendly way, especially in small spaces, is one of the easiest doable climate actions that doesn't require a grant application and a new personality. So, the science bit. Organic is best, but let's say it accurately. Let's talk organic in a grounded way. Organic growing generally restricts synthetic pesticides and fertilizers, and organic systems often aim to support soil health and biodiversity. From a what ends up on your food perspective, UK monitoring programmes use maximum residue levels as legal safety limits for pesticide residuals in food, and the reports explain how MRLs are set and monitored. From a health outcomes perspective, the science is still being mapped. A 2024 systematic review looked at organic food intake and potential health effects, and a 2025 review on organic fruit and veg notes that current data doesn't allow a firm conclusion that organic produce delivers greater health benefits. with conventionally grown produce, even though different things like residue exposure can exist. So here's the honest takeaway. Organic growing often reduces synthetic pesticide exposure. It can be better for biodiversity and soil practices, depending on how it's done. Health outcome evidence is promising in places, but not a slam dunk yet. Universal verdict. And if you're growing at home, you get the biggest perk of all. You control the inputs, you can grow organic style, even without a certification badge. You know, what's being sprayed, because you're the one that's holding the watering can. So if you don't have space, here's the UK Magic Grow with other people, often free. So this is the bit I love, because it turns I can't into watch me. Apply for an allotment through your local council. There's a straightforward gov.uk route that points you to your council for applications and waiting lists. Waiting lists can be long, but get one anyway. Future you will be smug. Incredible Edible. This is a UK movement built around community food growing. If you eat, you're in. Many local groups run free sessions, shared flower beds, and help yourself planting in public places, social farms and gardens. So a UK-wide charity supporting communities to farm, garden and grow together, with thousands of members and lots of local connections. Capital Growth, London. If you're in or near London, Capital Growth is a major food growing network with free membership plus events, training and support. Then there is Good to Go. Good to Grow. It's a UK network encouraging people to get involved with community edible gardens, and the wider Good to Grow network membership is also described as free to join. And even if none of these are right on your doorstep, they're brilliant jumping off points, because you can find local groups, local plots and local people, because that's the secret ingredient. Not compost, not sunlight, community. So here's your challenge for the week. Pick one thing to grow. Just one. Don't have to have like 10. Say a pot of mint or a tray of salad leaves. A little rosemary plant that makes you feel like you're living a cooking program. So start small, enough that it's impossible to fail, and meaningful enough that it feels like progress. Because growing your own isn't just about food. It's about agency. It's about learning a skill that makes you calmer, more capable and slightly more immune to the nonsense. And one day you'll be standing there with soil on your hands, looking at something you raised from nothing, and you'll think, so this is what the future feels like.